we are going to dive into the wonderful world of LinkedIn. My name is Monica Kumar, and I work with Margot at EngageNWA, and I'm going to let Margot introduce herself just for a second, because I don't know that you had a chance to meet her, and then she's going to pass back to me. So, hey, Margot.
Hi, thank you, Monica. Good morning. I'm Margot Lemaster. I'm the Executive Director of EngageNWA at the Northwest Arkansas Council, and I have had the pleasure of getting to work with Monica over many years now on many different projects, including Welcoming Week. And each year we have so much fun with Welcoming Week and all the different ways that we celebrate here in Northwest Arkansas. And this year, we're so excited to celebrate teen volunteerism and youth civic engagement, and delighted to have all of you with us today. Monica brings incredible experience and expertise across so many areas to our work here. She is a treasured member of the Northwest Arkansas community. We are so lucky to be able to work with her, and I have learned so much from her personally. And she's been a dear friend over many years. And so you all are in for a big treat to be able to hear from her today. And so I'm going to pass it to Monica and just make sure that her slides are up. Here we go. Does that look good to you, Monica?
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Margot. And now I feel like very pressured to give you like a life-changing.
Oh, no.
But let's just say that hopefully, if nothing else, it'll be a fun session. Welcome to LinkedIn Lab, where we're going to level up our LinkedIn game. And we want to think about how do we make our profiles, move from being social into being professional. And I'm going to whiz through this so you can stay with me. So your LinkedIn profile, that's your story. And I think you heard from all the panelists this morning, your story and who you are, unique to yourself and your experiences, that's your superpower. It's unique to you, it's unique to who you are in the world, and more than that, it's unique to what you bring to organizations, what you bring to your schools, what you bring to the community, and really what you bring to the world. There is no other person like you. You are incredibly incredible. So your story is your superpower and you shouldn't sleep on it. And don't let it just get by the wayside. Let's make it count. And LinkedIn is a way that we can do that. So before we talk about LinkedIn, let's talk about Labubus. I have been dying to try and get one, and I don't have one yet. And so I now have a virtual Labubu, and you're meeting him. This cute and slightly creepy Labubu guy is named Rainbow. And he's my little virtual Labubu until I get a real one. So if anyone has a scope or a line into Labubus, let me know. But this guy is he's my virtual Labubu, and so you get to meet him. So listen, this is what Rainbow looks like on other socials. On Facebook, which your parents are probably on, the way Labubu shows up is people would either like or dislike him. On Instagram, he has a whole aesthetic vibe, and he's like fueling on Instagram with a very specific aesthetic vibe. On TikTok, he'd probably be doing a challenge. On Snapchat, he'll have a snapping streak. He'll be Rainbow of the Day. On Spotify, he has his own curated playlist, which I'm sure many of you do, and he listens to all the jams. And on YouTube, he's showing everyone how to be a cute rainbow. This is how Rainbow shows up on other socials, and I would probably say not Facebook for some of you, and maybe not some of these either. Maybe I'm just not up on the socials you're on. But we're going to talk about LinkedIn and how Rainbow shows up on that. So Rainbow has a very specific job on LinkedIn. One of the things that Rainbow can do on LinkedIn is share what his future hopes and dreams are. The other thing he can do is share what he wants to work about and what he's excited about for the future. The other thing they can do is share their experiences and how it connects to things that are of interest to Rainbow. Rainbow can also show how they're really good at something, and they show that by X number of projects or things that they're involved in. They can also show love to other Labubus, and other Labubus can show love to Rainbow and share why. And so we're gonna think about how you can do those things and utilize LinkedIn for yourself in this way. So think about the numbers, first of all, and I think this is really important for you to know, because some of you might not even, you might be sleeping on LinkedIn, and some of you may already have a profile, and that's amazing. And what I'm hoping is that if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you can start thinking about it. And if you do, then maybe you can think about leveling it up a little bit, because there's over 562 million professional people on LinkedIn. 28 million scholars and students already use LinkedIn. And these are approximate numbers, but they're giving you a sense of how many people out there are utilizing LinkedIn for their life and their work. 10 plus employers are on LinkedIn. These are the people that are looking, that you're going to be going to find a job, find internships, 1 million plus entry level jobs, which is where you're going to be starting when you either leaving school and you want to go straight into a job, or if you're going to a technical college, or if you're going into a traditional university or regular college. Whichever one you do, you're going to be needing a lot of the entry level jobs that you need are on LinkedIn. And really important for this conversation, thinking about volunteering and showing up in our communities, there are over 1 million internships on LinkedIn that you can find. And I think we're having a tiny bit of a technical issue, but don't worry about it because I got you. So let's talk about it. LinkedIn lets you do everything. It lets you explore opportunities. It lets you build your brand. It lets you share all your thoughts. It potentially can help you land an internship, and it can help you get a volunteer gig or which is what we're talking about today. So let's go through some really fast moves to glow up your LinkedIn, either to start or to take what you already have and glow it up a little bit. And I'm going to go through these super fast. These are not in any order. You might already have done these. You might not have because you haven't started. Either way, here we go. So let's start with your profile setup. Add a smart, clear photo that is at least semi-professional. Iman was a wonderful example this morning of showing up as a scholar in her uniform. Perfect professional profile photo. And just know that profiles with photos get at least 21 times more views. So you definitely want to have a good, clear, at least semi-professional photo. And I would say that if there's something that you love to do, like you're a mountain biker or something, you could put a photo in your profile that reflects that, which would be great. Write a strong headline. You're not just a scholar or a student. Think about sharing, what you're interested in, because that headline is what people are going to see right up front. You could be an aspiring engineer. You could be an artist. You can put volunteer in there. You can put coder. You can put, I don't know, someone who loves tapestry, movie lover, something to make you look unique, to tell your own story, and also make you stand out. Something that people forget about, your background banner. So think about your background banner as a place that you can share where you are right now, and you can change that as you need to. So you could have your school mascot in the background. You could have a creative design. If you're an artist, you could have that in your banner. You could have a visual that is, think about this as your sort of professional window to the world. So you want to make sure that it's professional, but it also is unique to you and gives a sense of who you are and how you're going to show up, because visuals do make people stay. Something really important that I only realized recently is you can claim a custom URL. So on LinkedIn, when you create a profile, if you just go with the URL that they give you, it's going to be messy. And what you can do is you can go in there and you can change it. So you can make it something like linkedin.com/ in.your name. Or like me, you might have to add, because I have a very common name, Monica Kumar, you might have to add like an underscore or one, but it does boost your credibility. It makes it much easier for potential orgs that you want to volunteer with, or people to find you. And it just looks like you cared about your, about your profile. So that's a really easy one. List your school. The profiles that have details get up to 10 times more views. Include clubs, any honors you've earned, anything you're really proud of. Experience counts. And so share at least 2 positions. If you share at least 2 positions, you're going to be 36 times more likely to be noticed. And little unknown fact that I didn't know, you might know, is that if you share 5 or more skills, you're going to have 17 times more profile views. So really important to think about your profile and add the skills that you want. Add a summary. A lot of people don't do that, but your summary, going back to your personal story, your summary is your opportunity for a short, unique story that is in your own voice. Think about it as your story in your own voice, and then think about it like if you're putting a filter over it, think about the filter as being a professional filter. So it's your story, it's who you are, it's your voice with a professional filter, unlike some of those other socials. Think about it like this. Other socials are for your personal life. LinkedIn is for your professional life. I think that will help you, just if you have that little filter to put it through. That's a good filter to think about. Please think about including any volunteer work that you're doing, because 41% of managers and employers, like you just heard, they consider volunteering just as valuable as paid work. So don't think that you're volunteering in the community and you're serving is not as valuable just because you weren't paid. It is. It's absolutely as valuable, and at least half of employers and first-time managers think that it is. You know what's really important? Share group projects. People forget to do that. But if you have any group projects that you're working on, please share them, because they show collaboration, they show leadership, and they show teamwork. Make sure that you get permission from the people that you're working with on those projects to share them. But really, that's what you're going to be doing when you go out to work. It's very, very rare that you're going to be working by yourself on a project. Most of the time, you're going to be working with a team. I work with Margot, but we don't just work together. It's not even just the two of us. We have a whole Engage sort of a group of volunteers and community leaders and contractors behind us. And then we are a part of the Northwest Arkansas Council, which is a whole group of other people working on different things across the council. You heard from Nelson this morning, and they're all a part of our team. We all work together at different times. As you're thinking about how you share your projects, use multimedia, use photos, share your art projects, share videos. Remember, keep it smart and professional, and know that any visuals, videos, projects sharing, you'll get up to 10 times more engagement. There's a section that says future interests. Identified your area of interest. We talked about the fact that you really and truly do not need to know from the get-go what you want to do, and the two do not need to connect. You can say, at the moment I'm volunteering for a shelter or a food pantry, and in the future I think I might want to be a lawyer, and that's absolutely fine. Share that. Thank you, Bethany, for that question. I'm going to stop right here and just answer the question because I see it. Bethany is asking, should students share things like big school projects or pieces of work? I would say yes, if you get permission from one, make sure it's yours, because once you're putting it on LinkedIn, and I know you know this about all socials, but you're putting on LinkedIn, you're being a professional, it's your professional window for potential employers. They will look in, if you, especially in the future, if they're looking to hire you, make sure that it's your project. Second of all, make sure that you have permission to share it, especially if that's a piece of work that you're working or collaborating with other people on. Everybody should be totally in agreement about sharing it. And I would say that the thing is, get a second vibe check. Maybe just with an adult. So go to a parent, go to a teacher, and just say, hey, I'm thinking about sharing this project that I did with you. Is it okay? How does that look? And I think if you do those things, then I think it's absolutely awesome to share school projects and pieces of work, because it shows potential people who might want to consider you as a volunteer, and also potential first job applicants. It shows that this is the work that you produce. This is what you're capable of. I will give you a really real example here. My son this summer, one of the things he did this summer was volunteer with the Ronald McDonald House, and he was given a project to do a resource guide for Ronald McDonald House. And it's a resource guide for the families. So that project that he's working on is confidential to families. He can't share that project on his LinkedIn profile, which he has. But what he did share on the LinkedIn profile was an overview of the project without going into detail. And then he asked his project manager to write him a reference. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So there's lots of ways to share without actually sharing it. Don't sleep on it though. Add any roles in your life that show responsibility. And that does not have to be a work role or even a volunteering role. It could be you babysitting. Where, you know, if someone considers you responsible enough to look after their kids, it could be your brothers or sisters, it could be somebody else, it could be the neighbor's kids. If they consider that you're responsible enough to babysit, that is something that people who are looking for volunteers will be interested in know, and certainly potential employers will be. So, and you can include if you tutored kids, or if you tutored other people, if you're a part of a tutoring group, include that. If you've been a volunteer at a camp over summer or after school, include that. There's lots of ways to share. Okay, going back to the example about my son, this is incredibly important, and you're going to find that a lot of adults don't use this well, and so you can be ahead of the game. And this is references and experience. Every time you do a really great project for you know, for I don't know, with a group, or if you have a volunteer role, ask. Within LinkedIn, you can request a reference. And I would say that that's what I would do. I wouldn't send a separate note to your teachers because it's really hard for them to then you to upload it on LinkedIn. Within the platform, you can obviously it's got to be someone who is also on LinkedIn, but you could ask them if it's okay, and then you can request a reference, and then it'll show up on your LinkedIn profile. And that is really huge because it shows trust. It shows that this person thinks your work was incredible enough and you're responsible enough that they're putting their name to you, and they're publicly recognizing you. And the other thing that LinkedIn allows you to do is endorse other people's skills, and then you can endorse back. So if you're working on a group project and you all have a LinkedIn profile, you can endorse your friends' skills and say, hey, yeah, they were in charge of, you know, presenting the project that we did, and they did an amazing job. And then they can endorse you back and say, oh my gosh, they were in charge of research and they did an amazing job. One of the things that LinkedIn allows you to do is share your perspective and how much you appreciate people. So think about when you're sharing, when you're putting up posts, be appreciative. Demonstrate gratitude for the people that have supported you, people that have helped you on your project. That could be a teacher, that could be your mom, it could be leaders in the community, but demonstrate that, because what it does is, one, it shows your thoughtfulness. Two, it tells a potential other volunteer organization that you care and are a kind person, and you recognize that you didn't do all this alone, and it engages people 2 times more in positive ways. When you're doing any engagement on social media, your goal is always to be authentic and purposeful. And so, you know, like, be you. Don't make it feel like just because it's a professional space, it should your voice and who you are and your authenticity should stand out. And really to sort of expand your reach into like tens of thousands and millions with your profile, you need to have at least 50 to 150 meaningful network connects. And so, you know, connect with people that you know, one, other scholars that you know have a LinkedIn profile, connect with them, you know, then you're linked, and then people that see their profiles will see your profile. It's a quid pro quo. And also, if there are volunteer leaders that you've worked with that are on LinkedIn, ask them, can I reach out to you and make you a contact so you can extend your networks. Join groups. LinkedIn has groups on every single kind of you know, subject and topic. So if you're interested in food pantry services, find a group that connects with that. Join that group. You'll learn from leaders and you know, people who are thought leaders in that space, and also it'll increase notice of your profile by up to five times. So it's really helpful. When you think about content creation, share your school and volunteer awards. You know, if you need to get permission from anyone, especially if it was a group award, do that. I think that if you have a solid semi-professional LinkedIn profile, there should be no reason why people wouldn't be excited for you to share about your school awards and your volunteer awards. Any recognition you have about, if anybody recognized you, share that. Thinking about content creation, when you're thinking about writing posts, it's a really great opportunity for you to share in posts, just short reflections on your experience doing a community service, on your experience of a particular class. You could say, hey, I'm taking this, Iman was talking about pre-calc. Hey, I'm taking this pre-calc class, and I'm finding that beyond math, this is how I can see myself using this in my life and in my work, or in the future. And it's really interesting to me that I'm seeing this connection. If you can do that, people can see that you're thoughtful, that you're able to apply what you learn in the classroom into the real world. As long as you're consistent with it, you can decide for yourself, I'm going to post once a month. That is totally fine. Just be consistent. Make sure you do post once a month. If you start out fast and then you taper down, that's not as great. So steady yourself, do one time a month. I think you can manage that and you'll be great. And then if you have a lot to say about something, or something strikes you, or you have a community experience or something that you're like, hey, this is much longer than a post. Think about making an article and creating an article for a long form essay. This is, I would say, you don't even need to do this more than 2-3 times a year, but it definitely shows a deeper sense of commitment and thought leadership to potential volunteer organizations, and also to anybody that you might be looking at to hire you. So those are some of the things that, as you're thinking about your LinkedIn profile, I hope that there's been something in there that's been helpful to you. And like we shared, we will be sharing all these resources with you. And on the screen, you can see that there's a PDF that's a handy profile checklist, and it's literally a checklist where you can just check off the things we talked about. There's extra things in there, and we will make sure you get all of that. But yeah, I whizzed through that because it's a quick checklist for you. For if you already have a LinkedIn profile, just blow it up a little bit. Maybe you learned 1 or 2 new things, and if you don't, hopefully it will inspire you to create one.
That was amazing, Monica. Thank you. I know you covered a lot of ground there, but I've also seen the tool that you developed to share with students afterwards. So you can find all of those references that she mentioned, all of the resources that she mentioned. That was a ton. I learned so much through that. There's a lot I need to do. I could definitely improve my LinkedIn profile. So know that it's would be incredibly helpful for everyone. Is there anybody on the call who has any other questions? Please feel free to drop those in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Yes, and we'll have everything shared with you. And if you don't have anything, that's fine too, but we'd love to hear from any of you and how the experience is going, or maybe some of the challenges that you feel are part of developing a LinkedIn profile. Maybe you haven't done one and you're just, what's kind of the first step to get started? We welcome anyone to chime in with any questions or comments from Monica's presentation.
Margot, I think I was so thorough. No one has questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was amazing. Here's one. Bethany says, creating a professional online profile is a bit daunting for teens. How do you encourage those who are trying to stay away from social media?
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate that, Bethany. And to be honest, my son's turning 16 and he does not do any social media. And he didn't have a LinkedIn profile. When he applied for volunteering at Ronald McDonald House, they interviewed him because there were 20 spots and hundreds of applicants. So we had to, as a family, do mock interviews with our son. And also they also asked us to send a resume and we just found it easier to do a profile. So we did it together. So I would say that LinkedIn is actually something that your parents are probably maybe already using or at least a tiny bit familiar with, or people that that you're volunteering with, leaders in your community, neighbors are probably already a little bit familiar with LinkedIn, and this is a great opportunity to actually use it as a community task or as a group task with other friends, and do it together, as opposed to something where you're like in your room by yourself trying to create your online. So I would say do it as a family. I would also say, sometimes parents get really busy or LinkedIn is not an area that they're super active in. You have counselors at school and you have teachers at school that I know would love to talk about maybe creating a lesson around this, or maybe bringing a group together. So if you get a group of friends together who all want to do this, get them together, find a teacher that you think could be, or a counselor at your school that you think might be helpful in like putting a room together or doing an after school activity or a lunchtime session, and say, hey, we all want to do this together. Can we create a team session? So I think doing these things in collaboration and with friends or family or neighbors is a really fun way to do it. It also keeps it social, and it doesn't feel like yet another, sort of individual in your room social activity that you're doing. That's what I would say. Make it a group activity.
I love that. It sounds like something I would like to do. I'm going to connect with some friends and get together. So let's all figure out how to improve our LinkedIn profiles together. I think that's a great idea.